Okay. Hi, hey, hello there. Welcome back to me reading comments from my old videos. Let's do Anthropologist reacts to Amberlynn Reid, New Lynn again, and defining what an adult looks like. That's from August 2nd. It's got a few comments, so there should be some stuff to talk about here. Yes, so these are the comments that go along with it. I've scrolled all the way back to the beginning. Yes, I have. And of course, the first few comments are people following the emoji game. Thank you almost so much. Let's see. I really can't pronounce that. I'm so sorry. But they say, "Oh, you like bones. What is your opinion on ALR having a tiny skeleton?" Okay, when I first saw this, I didn't realize that this was referring back to, and after they mentioned it, I did remember it. Her getting they clarified she got a CAT scan photo. She got a CAT scan photo. Is it called a photo? Now we're both in the unknown. Anyway, Amberlynn got a CAT scan photo and she got shocked at how quote tiny human skeleton is inside the body. I think, okay, first off, the skeleton itself will not change significantly in mass when you are obese versus when you are not obese. Your bones are pretty much the way they're gonna be, or they're the size they're gonna be after a certain point, and they will not change. And that developmental part of the bones happens during, obviously, childhood. So that's why you'll see people that's why you've heard the term, the growth is stunted. And that's because malnutrition, a number of things can stunt your growth, actually. It's not just one thing. There are a number of things, usually a combination of things, but also in the opposite direction, you can have a child that comes from a very short-statured, petite family who gets huge. Yao Ming, the basketball player, is an excellent example of that, and it's a shift in diet. So basically what I'm trying to say is diet's very important during your developmental years for overall stature and bone health. So yes, there are several things that can stunt your growth. However, nutrition tends to be one of the dominant culprits. Words. So that being said, Amber's only like 5'2", so yes, she probably does have a rather petite skeleton. So that's kind of how I took that. I can imagine if she saw the CAT scan and does it have the outline of your body on it? And then you see the very tiny, I'm sure her skeleton does look rather tiny compared to her overall mass because she has an unusually large mass. Is that Soylent? God bless. I think this is Soylent. Soylent is saying, don't fall for the data. I forget what I said there. They also say apps are wonky for short people wanting to lose weight. We minis just need to move more for calorie counting. So we're talking about the scrolling. I think this is when Amber was joining Weight Watchers. Yes. So she was talking about how she had to keep scrolling for her weight because it is so significantly high. We're talking about, on apps sometimes where you have to select anything like the date or the time or your weight or your height or something like that. And instead of just being able to type the damn number in, you have to scroll. What is that? Who invented it? You're stupid. Go away. I'm not angry. I really don't like the scrolly thing. I don't understand why that's more efficient than just letting me type the number in. I don't know anything about Invisalign. I had a friend who was using it. They were pretty happy with the results. Also, too Soylent. I am very far away from Michigan right now. I'm further away from Michigan than I care to drive just to go to a Meijer. The way she just said apples last longer in the fridge. And then Theo Eclipse says, my teeth are sensitive to cold stuff, so I can't imagine biting into an apple that's freezing cold from being in the blank fridge. I had family members that would keep all fruit, bananas, apples, oranges, everything was kept in the fridge because they were convinced that the fridge was like the place to keep food. So I don't particularly like, I hate bananas after they've been in the fridge. I won't touch them. As far as keeping apples in the fridge, that's not that weird, I guess. So I don't know. It's a thing. Some people do it, some people don't. I don't know why. A lot of people aren't completely aware of actual food safety and what actual foods can survive. Like for eggs, for example, if you have fresh laid eggs, they can they can survive out on the counter for, I want to say like 3 weeks before they go bad, and they don't need to be refrigerated. So, but they have to be fresh eggs. They can't be like the eggs that you've bought at the grocery store that are already packaged, because I think there's something about A, that particular kind of egg, and B, the washing and processing of the egg before it gets into the packaging, so that like it basically has to be refrigerated after that point. Anyway, Genevieve York says, when I hear someone anxiously say, quote, I'm hoping for the best, it somehow doesn't register that they could be talking about a flavor of a loaded cheese ball. Amber's weird food anxiety, I can't tell if it's manufactured or if she actually is concerned that she won't like the taste of something. I'm of the opinion, because I'm an adult, if you don't like something, don't eat it. It's okay. Most of us, I would say, don't live in a society where food waste is going to kill someone. So you don't have to eat something if it doesn't agree with you. That being said, it's a freaking processed cheese ball. Of course you're going to like it. It's literally designed for you to like it. Even if you're not a fan of like whatever flavor, what was it, barbecue or something, or taco? I don't remember. She's still gonna like it. It's still salt flavored, whatever. Anyway. Carrie Marty? Yeah, I think so. Carrie Marty with the cute little cat. Ultimately, you have to get your head in the right space. I actually use Lose It, the free version, and I find it useful to keep myself accountable. It's amazing how quickly you can get off track if you're not paying attention. As of today, I'm 16 kg down since January 1st. It's been hard at times, but as a 47-year-old, I knew it was now or never. I'm only a couple kg off from my goal now, and it's been liberating to finally get my act together after all these years. Man, same. I'm not as old as you are yet, but you know, it's going to happen. And like, it is nice finally like going, okay, enough's enough. I'm not 30 anymore. I need to like get on that crap. So yeah, I feel this. I'm an American. I don't speak in kgs. I know what you're talking about though. I'm also a trained scientist. I know what this is. But still, let's see. Eating whole foods is so filling. I never eat fake foods now. I'm afraid AL will never succeed unless she fixes her head, and it's quite apparent that she has no intention of doing that. No, I don't think she does. I don't think she does. I eat fake food still. Like I crave donuts, and so I use them as reward foods. So that being said, I still eat them. I still eat peanut butter. I still eat like Nutella. Let's see. I have salad dressings. I'm trying to think of what else would be like a very processed food. Oh, I eat store-bought tortillas because I'm not about to sit here and make them. I'm not skilled at it. Don't come for me. Look, there's certain things in the world that I just am not built to make, and tortillas and pie crust and cake from scratch are like, these things do not come out of my kitchen. They just don't. It was said by law. It is followed. Oh, loving this type of reaction. Thank you. Thoroughly enjoyed more detailed examination of her behavior. I'm a nurse. There's no such much to unpack with. I can't read. I'm a nurse, and there's so much to unpack with her. I don't know where to start. I just kind of go with whatever she's saying at the moment because there is a lot to unpack with her and it's kind of all over the place. Like, it's hard to do a linear analysis of Amber, even though I'm trying, but it's difficult to do because, well, I mean, like with any human being, everything's so interconnected, and like the reasons, in my opinion, the reason why she does A is connected to the reasons why she does, W, which are connected to the reasons why she does K, kind of a thing. I mean, it's like, it's not linear. It's all over the damn place, which I think is true of any human being or any social group that you're trying to analyze. Like, it's not linear, but we want it to be because it's easier to understand. Theo Eclipse says, congrats on your weight loss. Yes, congrats on your weight loss, even though I'm giving you shit about the kgs. At least you didn't say stone. Stone throws me. I have no idea what a stone is. I've been told several times. I don't get it. Why do you use it? It makes even less sense than a foot. Like, okay. Math and I are not friends. Losing weight is easy when you break it down to its most basic form. Move more, eat in a deficit, and eat more whole foods. The mental work can be the harder part. If you've struggled with disordered eating, even if you've never necessarily been diagnosed with an ED, apps like Lose It and MyFitnessPal can be great, like you said, for helping people stay accountable and also to make sure that you're not accidentally overeating by assuming something has less calories than it does. I think Amber legitimately doesn't want to get better. Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the general consensus. She's a narcissist and they're incapable of ever doing anything wrong or seeing how their actions are affecting them and people around them. She is too obsessed with the German pronunciation. That's not even how you say food in German, is it? Food. See, the H and the D make a different sound together. So it'd be food. Food. To ever lose weight. Anyway, now you know the extent of my German, which is sad. I come from Germans. I don't like diagnosing Amber with anything. It's like hard. I know a lot of people like to classify her as a narcissist, but I keep falling back on that. Like none of us are qualified to make that call. And even if you do have a degree in that, you shouldn't be making a diagnosis over the internet. So that's kind of where I stand on that. The rest of it, however, I don't think she does want to get better. I just don't. I do use, I think I've talked about it. I use Samsung Health. It's free. I've used Samsung Health because it's free and I've used it for decades at this point. I still use it. I think portion control and calorie counting have been the most effective for me. This could go back to short girl problems. So that could be it. I just found the point system way too confusing. It didn't make sense. It seemed very arbitrary. And unfortunately, in my head, it gamified it. Calories aren't gamification. Calories are math. And you can gamify math, don't get me wrong, but it's not my default. Points, for whatever reason, in my head, it was a default to gamify them. And so now I was trying to Anyway, I found myself trying to use my points, use all of the points, even though it wasn't necessary to do. Anyway, that's a me problem. I just found the points confusing in Weight Watchers, if no one was figuring out what I was talking about. Sorry. Let's see. Druzimon, I've been waiting for the day Amber stops looking at outside factors for the reason she's 500 plus pounds, but I know that will not happen. To be a fly on the wall in her therapy sessions. Did I say that right? Druzimon. I don't want to be in her therapy sessions. I know what mine are like. I don't want to be in anybody else's. I'm not saying I'm not curious. I just know what mine are like. I wouldn't want other people listening in. But yeah, Amber, until she says the right things. This is the thing with Amber. She says she understands it's her. She says she understands that the onus is on her. She says all of these things. She says the right things, but then her behavior and her actions after that don't line up. And then when she gets frustrated or things aren't working, then she'll start finding other people to blame for the problem. That's very much her cycle when it comes to these kind of things. She starts off with, yeah, this is my doing, blah, 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 blah. And then when we get down to here, it's like, oh, other factors are coming into play. And then by the time we get all the way back up to here, it's like, it's everyone else's fault but my own kind of a thing. The pumping. Oh, I even saw your name from last time. The pumping iron. So I'm trying to make a University of Ohio joke, which if you're from Ohio, you probably understand. But there's a distinct difference between the University of Ohio, the pumping iron, and just University of Ohio. I've been at many a conference. It's ridiculous. I've been to many a conference where that has become a point of contention among conference goers. It cracks my shit up. Anyway, the pumping iron says she was a PCA worker. It was a part-time and she just stopped going. She didn't quit. She just stopped showing up till the boss called her and said she wasn't going to work anymore. And then someone said, wasn't the PCA stuff in Florida? Amber and Destiny, I assume, notified their bosses before they moved to Kentucky. I know she definitely just failed to show up at work when she was doing data entry in Kentucky. She decided to do YouTube full time. I know Amber's work history is kind of... Amber doesn't have Amber's had jobs. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying her work history is kind of different depending on who you're actually asking about it. Amber really wants us to believe that she's had the real 9 to 5, 7 days a week work experience, job experience. And she just hasn't. I've not seen any of her jobs ever. The ones that she did do, I've not seen any of them hold up to like a regular work schedule. They almost feel like internships, which I'm not slamming internships. I have been an intern, but as an intern, especially in like archaeology and anthropology, your internships tend to be kind of volatile in that they're unpredictable. Like I got an internship for 9 months working for the State Museum. And I mean, after that, there wasn't an internship kind of a thing, which actually worked out really well because I went back into the field. But at the time, it was very precarious because that became my income because thankfully it was a paid internship. But I was also doing a second internship at the same time, monitoring and directing a archaeology project at a very small site that was like 2 hours away from where I was working for the museum. College, man. The stuff you do when you're in college. Anyway, but I wanted both of those internships because I needed the experience from both internships and they were both very interesting projects. My point being is Amber's jobs that she's held down or that she's applied for kind of feel internshipy in that they're like not permanent going in or they're not full-time going in. Because even when I was working for the museum, I wasn't working full-time. I think I was only putting in like 4 to 5 hours a day. Something like that. It felt like a full-time job. I'll give it that. Anyway, I think that's Judy McCollin. Wasn't it just a few videos ago where she said this exact same thing about being obese before YouTube when she said she had a, quote, regular job? She has no plan to follow through. I think we're talking about her. I think Amber said something to the effect of like she needs a routine, or she wondered if she would be obese if she had a routine. I could be getting these confused. It's been a long time. Amber says the same stuff over and over again. It's part of her cycle. Again, she starts off with this like mea culpa. She gets down here and it's like everyone else's copa, and then we get back up here and then we just start all over again. I think I had everyone else at copa over here. I'm watching my finger on the screen. Anyway, Joanna. No, is that an I? Iona Ecola? Iona Ecola. Iona's a beautiful name, by the way. I don't know if that's like your name or if you're using it for something, but I love Iona. I literally know one other person with that name, and she studies ancient lyre music. Like the lyre. She plays a lyre, but she or a lyre. And yeah, she studies ancient music. And she learns how to play it. It's very pretty. I wish I knew her TikTok. No. Well, yeah, she does have a TikTok. I wish I knew some of her social media stuff. I would send it y'all's way, but it's very pretty to watch her play. Anyway, I hope this new friend doesn't put their hopes and energy in Amber because all she seems to be able to do is disappoint and hurt people. It's hard to argue with that. It's hard to argue with that. Is this the new friend that she was taking the pictures of the sushi for? Who we haven't heard about in a few days. Just putting that out there. That could explain the week-long absence, but also Amber, very typically when she does these long consecutive posting things, she usually takes a long chunk of time off afterwards. So this is also not unusual for Amber. Dropout video. Oh no. Yep. Dropout video says, I think her lack of self-awareness plus her arrogance means she can really sell the I'll really change this time shtick if you don't know her. Unfortunately, I don't think she'll have any issues deceiving more well-meaning people into being her caretaker. Fully thought she could change her and ended when it was evident she couldn't. I don't know. I don't know what Feline's endgame was. I don't know. The thought of it just, I can't even start putting that together. And we don't know enough about Feline for me to make any kind of educated guesses either, other than she's very young comparatively. She's very young to me anyway. That kind of a thing. I do think it's interesting that when Feline started dating Amber, the community was convinced that she was a feeder. And now that Feline has broken up with Amber, and or Amber broke up with her, the community is now of the opinion that Feline was there to try to change Amber, like how was going through like a savior syndrome with Amber, and is leaving because they've now recognized that they can't change Amber. I think that is a very interesting development within the community as a whole. Even Kicking Geese, who I adore and watch religiously, at the beginning of this relationship was convinced that Feline was a feeder. And now in the last couple episodes, especially with the tarot readings, she's kind of changed her tone to being that Feline was trying to be a savior and it didn't work out. So I think watching that evolution of Feline has been interesting because, again, we know squat all about Feline. So everything is speculation. And I just think it's interesting watching that speculation shift just because Feline is no longer dating Amber. So, in the Kai? There's two eyes. Eden the Kai. Just dropping a comment to push your video in the algorithm. Thank you very much. I like your dancing, ladies. Another emoji. Good job. Miss Rachel says she's gesticulating in a performative way, but every time she does, I'm so in awe of how big her hands are. But I'm also reminded she's like 5 foot. Oh, thank you. I love my takes too. And I love your comment. She does have big hands. Her hands are very swollen. I mean, I'm 5'0". All right. I'm 5'0" and clinically obese. Someday I'll give you guys like a full body shot. It's not that shocking, I promise. But like, these are my hands. These are my hands not swollen from arthritis. I'm not going to show you what they look like swollen with arthritis because I don't want to do that to myself. It hurts and it lasts for days. But her hands remind me of what my hands kind of look like if I have way too much dairy, because that severely aggravates my arthritis and my hands. Like I have to take my finger. Yes, I have to take my finger off. I have to take my ring off. Like, see how easily it comes off? I have to take my ring off when my hands swell because it will cut into my skin and like actually cut into my skin. And it's not a sharp ring. So fun times. Fun times. Elaine Patterson says she really needs to start taking responsibility for her weight. She has so many excuses, but food is not spontaneously jumping into her mouth. She's actively putting it there. And until she takes responsibility, nothing will change. I mean, yes. It's just, yes. Let's see. Wire Hall Medic says, of course she has a plan. She always has a plan. She just never executes the plan, and certainly not with the consistency needed for success. Amber likes to plan. I saw a video on YouTube. It's on my queue to watch. It's called Planning is Self-Care. And I think it is for Amber. I think Amber likes to plan. She kind of likes to start, but she doesn't like any of the rest of it. And let's face it, the planning and the starting are the easy parts, you know? The sticking to it and being consistent, that's the part that sucks. Like dragging my butt to the gym every other day. My goal is to get there 5 days a week because I'm only there for like a half hour. It's not like I'm there doing like murder exercises. I'm really not. But just like getting myself into the habit of going basically 3 days a week is hard enough. Once I can do that without having to like mentally kick myself to go to the damn gym, then I can start doing the 5 days a week thing. But I have steps in my plan and I have a goal for my plan. Amber never has goals. Amber just plans to start. She does like the first day. She always is ecstatic about the results from the first day. And then we never hear anything after that because after that, it's not starting anymore. It's hard. It's effort after that. Compassionate Citizen says, excellent point. Here's the thing. She's talking to Wire Hall Medic. I'm pointing like you guys can see what I'm talking about. Excellent point. Here's the thing. She's practically 2/3 of the way to having a sustainable eating plan. True. ALR, you order groceries, but you don't plan meals in advance. You love to make lists, so list out what you have in the kitchen, write it down, each meal or snack for the day. It's better to do a weekly plan, but that's a stretch goal. Yeah, honestly, if she could just plan like day to day, that'd be amazing. Have those think bars at some point during the day as a snack. Have your mustard mess meal at the beginning of the day. Try to have a low sodium meal at the end of the day to manage her inflammation. I don't honestly think I don't think sodium hits Amber as much as Amber wants us to believe the sodium hits her. I think she's just bloated at all times because she's inflamed. And maybe the sodium feeds into that, but I know it's not great for her, but I don't know. I think she blames the sodiums a bit too much for the fats. Like the fact that she has fats. In a tracker, like Lose It, put those meals and snacks in there the night before, then adhere to that plan for every day. Yeah, that's the reality of what it takes to commit. I mean, where's the lie? I think we're talking about Lose It a lot in here because I think Amber was like, oh yeah, my friend. Yeah, that's right. This is like, my friend has inspired me to use Lose It. Samsung Health will do the exact same thing and it's free. Apparently Lose It does have a free option. I did look at it. And the pay option is not terribly expensive. So I'm not slamming Lose It. My thing is like, literally, my thing is that I've been using Samsung for so damn long. All of my data's in there at this point, and I'm just too freaking lazy to switch. So whatever I switch to has to be amazeballs, or it's just not going to happen. But yeah, no, I mean, Amber, this is why I keep saying, Amber says the right things and has like the knowledge of how to get healthy and how to eat correctly. It's just she doesn't know how to apply it, kind of a thing. Let's see. Nanny Benny? I called my grandmother Nanny. Nanny Benny says, love your take on Amber. Very different and refreshing and informative. Thank you so much. She's a frustrating individual. She is, yes. Your approach is more analytical and it got me hooked. I'm trying to stay that way. I'm not going to lie. I did one the other day where I was tired and I was very snarky. So I can be snarky. I just try not to be. And I did say she infuriates me. That damn air fryer is going to be the damn end of me. Why did she unplug it? I know somebody said she had to unplug it because the door won't open. It will. It shuts. It has an automatic pause and switch and shut off switch. If you pull the drawer out, like it automatically shuts off. It's designed to not burn your house down. I don't understand why she unplugs it. It doesn't matter. It's just one of those things. I'm like, just leave it plugged in. Why would you? Whatever. I don't care. Well, thank you guys for all the praise, honestly. Compassionate says, I agree. This is the channel I've been waiting for. Thank you. I hope to not disappoint. Theo the Eclipse. Wait, I have done this one because I remember Theo yelling at me about the whey protein. Oh, no, because I addressed this during the next video. Okay, so Theo Eclipse says, ma'am, I know I didn't just hear you call the protein in those bars, quote, fake protein. I did. You heard me say that. That is a direct quote. It is real protein, usually from whey. It's just processed. The good thing about protein from powders and bars is that your body can utilize it in the same way as it were if you were eating a steak or a chicken breast. Okay, first off, I didn't know that. Cool. Secondly, I would rather have the steak or the chicken breast. I don't like protein powder, right? Amber doesn't need protein bars, though. They're designed for athletes, bodybuilders, etc., who need easy protein to boost their protein intake for the day to meet the requirement. Yes. Also, like the excess calories in those are typically for people who are burning calories quickly. They're a quick. I used to eat protein bars. I used to eat them a lot, and they're protein and granola bars are like a go-to thing in the field over even eating jerky because they're easier to eat. They taste better a lot of times. I like jerky. I would rather have jerky, but I mean, I've eaten protein bars. I have eaten granola bars. I don't eat them anymore because I'm not that active anymore. I'm not working 10 hours a day and hiking some ridiculous... What was the most we ever got? I think we did like a 12-mile... We did 12 miles one day. That was an unusual day. But we did 12 miles one day. It was absolute murder. I hated it. It was the worst. It was like a 10, almost 11-hour day. It was ridiculous. Keep in mind, that's just the walking. That's not everything else we did that day. That's just the walking, okay? It's not like my job is just hiking. So, yeah, we were burning calories like mad out there. And yeah, there was one girl I worked with. She also was like a huge soccer fan. I just know that because that's what we would always talk about. Anyway, she was one of those people that like constantly ate, but not like whole meals. Like she was always eating some kind of trail mix and then the protein bar and then, a granola bar. And then she had like some vegetable snacks and that kind of stuff. Like she was always eating something, but it was always like little amounts of everything. And that was just the way she ran. And she was about as thick as my pinky finger. And she was like one of the top, like she could walk all day and not even feel it, I think. Just, putting that out there. And I do mention my vendetta about the way it tastes. So anyway, my point is like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with protein bars and there's nothing wrong with granola bars as long as you are the type of person who needs to be eating them. If you are outside of that group of people, you have to understand that you're effectively eating a candy bar. For you, it's a candy bar. I don't like when people put them in their kids' lunch boxes either, but those are your kids, not mine. Don't come for me. Thank you for the love on the video, Bree. Let's see. I read that way too fast. Allison Fick. Thank you. Delta Save says, just seeing if I got the ban by Susan's replacement. Guess I can't say big anymore. But I can hear for the algo. Oh, yeah, I'm actually glad I read this one. Delta Saves is basically mentioning that their comment got sent to the Great Abyss. There is a section in my comments section that's held for review, and I check it pretty frequently. And it does hold some people's comments. It has yet to hold something that was actually offensive and or like inappropriate. Most of the time, I will say this, most of the time the stuff that I'm finding is in the held for review section are people who comment more than 5 times on the same video or more than 5 times in the same day. Just FYI, I love the comments, but if you comment frequently in one go, it'll pull some of your comments and put them into the held for review section just because it's like it's concerned you might be spam. Just letting you know. I don't think I've not approved anything in the held for review section yet. So far there's not been any issues. If I don't see it, I've seen more than one person now. Delta Saves is not the first person mention that like their stuff is just gone. I don't know. I honest to God don't know. One time I got a notification that there was a comment and I clicked on it and it didn't exist, but I still had the notification that the comment was there. So I don't know. That's a YouTube problem. And now you know as much about it as I do. Oh, we've already had the onion discussion. And girl, why I just got here. Why so much lore? That's from Ziatsky. We were talking about if you could caramelize onions or not. It actually didn't have anything to do with Amber. By the way, yes, you can caramelize red onions. Let's see. Tay Desiree. I'm glad my channel got recommended to you. I'm glad you guys like the longer formats. I'm struggling to not have longer formats. Her video was 10 minutes yesterday. It was a 10-minute video, and I still ended up with like, what, 45 minutes of a reaction? I need to shut up. Oh yeah, I was talking about how I was really looking forward to Amber scaling back on her, that everyday thing was murder. It was fun, and it was good for my channel, but man, it was rough. Let's see. Fuzzball said, all she did by Destiny's mouth is working in the dining room, setting up and cleaning up. Every word out of her mouth is a lie. I honest to God think she's a compulsive liar. I don't think she can help herself. This is talking about when she worked at the residence home. I've seen clips from that. I didn't watch the Destiny era, but I've seen clips from it, you know? So I've basically watched it, I guess. I don't know. I've seen the highlights. But yeah, I remember her being in there. I remember videos of her talking about the residents and talking with the coworkers and that kind of stuff. I honestly don't know if you should trust anything that comes out of Destiny's mouth, to be perfectly honest, though. I've said this multiple times. Destiny is just as bad as Amber, in my opinion. That relationship had to be probably the most toxic relationship I've ever seen, just because both of them were using each other for different reasons. And I mean, I don't like Destiny. I'm not crazy about Amber either. I know more about Amber, so it's easier for me to like sympathize and be interested in Amber, but I don't like Destiny. Misdemeanor Scott says, as a reply to Fuzzball, and she spent a good part of her day with her favorite residents. We saw that in the videos, though, so. And then Fuzzball replies, true, and never went back to the woman who insulted her. There was a woman who told her she was fat, wasn't there? You can't play favorites. I am a nurse now for over, wow, good job, 20 to 30 years. Props. I work as a charge nurse in the NICU, but when I worked in the med surgery floor, I think I'm translating that correctly, I wasn't able to show my likes or dislikes of patients, or I'd have been fired. That makes sense. Not to be mean, but that makes sense. She's useless. And no one and nothing is going to change my mind. Fair. She has not one friend, regardless of what she says. That's what's upsetting her the most. That's why it seems like she's going near her mom. She has no one in the wings and no one in her DMs. She's only upset because she has no one. She could Uber elsewhere, but that's something she's not used to. She did take an Uber once, or at least she said she took an Uber once. I feel like we would have heard more about it, but I'm not going to say shit didn't happen. I don't think she'll ever... I don't know. She might have used that Uber. That was back in the Becky era. She has never lived alone as far as I'm aware. If she felt nothing for Becky, why didn't she ask her to leave? Because she didn't want to be alone. I mean, that's really what it was. Also, I don't think Becky had anywhere to go at the time. So, Honey Fungus says if she were straight, she'd have a male feeder to look after her in a heartbeat. True. And that one actually kind of got me thinking, like, is it possible in the future that she might quote, go straight just because finding a male feeder is going to be easier than finding a lesbian caretaker. I don't know. That's just a thought I had in my head, especially with the stuff I've read about fat acceptance and the whole fat liberation movement. It seems like it would be easier for her to do because she's not unattractive in the face, but I don't know. Yeah, and then we're just commenting about the feeder thing. That is a scary idea to me because like their goal is to make you incapacitated, which I'm sure Amber would be okay with, but as long as she could keep recording YouTube videos. DHL. DHL says, did she put Pam on the salmon? To quote Michael B. Petty. Okay. To defend this practice, I was watching a tutorial, excuse me, from a Korean chef on how to make Korean fried chicken in the air fryer. And it was recommended that you, after you've breaded the chicken pieces, sorry, I'm grabbing my Coke. After you've breaded the chicken pieces, that you then spray liberally with Pam or some other oil spray, because that's going to replace the deep frying effect of the chicken. It's not unheard of, is what I'm saying. And it's actually recommended by some people for certain things. I didn't have any problems with it. Again, she cooks like she's from my family. My family would 100% do that. I've watched them do it. So that didn't bother me at all. Huter. I like Lose It. It's a basic calorie app. Oh, here we go. But I like their graphs and tracking. The yearly fee is also $30. I've not done their recommended calories. I go off a TDE calculator. Last time I probably ate that much in one sitting was when I was in my 20s. I think we're talking about, didn't she say something like she ate 2,000 calories in a sitting or something crazy like that? I was trying to think of like how I could manage whatever large number of calories she mentioned. And I was like, I would have to be eating fast food only. And even then, I don't know if I could eat enough. Like, I'm thinking of like a burger that has like the most calories in it. And I think that's like a Whopper, like a double Whopper from the place that makes Whoppers, Burger King, which I love. I do. I haven't had one in years, but I really used to love them to death. But even then, I could only eat about half of it at a sitting because it would just fill me up. It's beef. It's what beef does. But, I mean, I'd still eat the rest of it later, kind of a situation, which is how I kind of fooled myself. Oh, I'm only eating half of it now, and I'll eat the other half later. It's like having 2 meals. Yeah, and it's not. Don't do that. So there's that. Anyway, that's where, yeah, H. Huter was the one who told me about the Lose It app being cheap. Again, I have nothing against it. I already have one that I use. Dr. Lynn, medicine woman. Cracks me up. DHL says she doesn't like to take drugs prescribed here, yet she takes deltas. Right? It's another reason why I don't believe she's doing the delta. The delta. She's not doing the deltas like the kids these days. DHL also says an adult washes their hair. True. I don't know. User and some letters. What is sold in smoke shops in the states that have legalized cannabis is Delta 9 THC, but we simply call it THC. The difference between Delta 8 and Delta 9 is chemical difference of a double carbon bond on the 9th and 8th carbon in the molecule. Riveting, I know. Actually, I enjoyed that. Thank you. Delta is sold in the states, comes from one hemp or CBD plant instead of cannabis. That's why it's federally legal to sell Delta 8 only if it comes from the hemp plant. A loophole starts. I think I vaguely remember. I went on a family trip. You know how these stories start. Went on a family trip to Savannah. Beautiful place to visit, by the way. It is a tourist town, though, so don't go there expecting Expect to go and be a tourist is what I'm saying. I'm not slamming it. But that's what you should expect. Also, if you can, go on some of the house tours. The houses are just beautiful. Anyway, that being said, one of the touristy place, it's not a touristy place, one of the shops on the main strip was a smoke shop, basically. And when we went in to check it out, the guy behind the counter gave us a big spiel about why you can sell this thing and why you can't sell this other thing and why this is legal and that's not, and yada, yada, yada. And it did come down to basically the actual plant versus hemp, which is, I'm not entirely sure what the exact difference is. I'm not a plantologist. I'm not a botanist over here. User we3 might be, though, so feel free to share. But yeah, like, I remember getting that lecture from the guy, and actually I find it fascinating and funny. It's effectively the same damn thing, but not. Anyway. Sailor Usagi X says, I absolutely adore the wasabi Kewpie mayo. If you have not had Kewpie mayo and you are capable of eating mayo, do yourself a favor and get yourself a bottle of Kewpie mayo. It's worth every damn penny. It is gold standard mayo. Mr. Beaner Scott says, I'm thinking no, but will Amber's immense obesity show on her skeletal remains? I know fractures will, but anything else. So, why didn't I like that? There are some certain markers that will show up on the skeletal. I tried to respond here, but. So, your muscles attached to your bones, obviously. And your bones are, especially your long bones, and well, you're going to see it most in the long bones and in the spinal column. You know, the parts of your body that are weight bearing. Not every part of your skeleton is weight bearing. But when you see extreme obesity or also extreme physical activity, like people who are, well, you see it in athletes too. You see it a lot in Olympians, but basically people who are like physically pushing themselves to the point of damage, which again, you see a lot in people who are very into extreme sports and that kind of stuff, or who are very focused on their sports careers. But you also see it in obesity. And what you see are what we call stress markers on the bones from the attachment points of the muscle to the bone. You'll see sometimes tearing, or you'll see even sometimes like a calcification buildup. That's not the right word. But anyway, the bone will start to build up at that attachment point, which can be very painful. And then when it comes to the overall pressure of the mass itself, you can see some deformity in the bones. Like you can see it actually in like really big people when they walk. So when your way your skeleton's designed, I need a map. I need a piece of paper. I did not purposefully draw the blue out, but now we have it. So there you go. All right, paper, papier. All right, so the way your skeleton, and this is going to be a real quick sketch. The way your skeleton is designed is to kind of follow, especially if you're female, boop, feet, and then your hands, jazz hands, and then your head. Yeah, all right, ribs. Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's pretend like this is quite accurate. All right. So here we go. When you get down into this area. So this is your pelvis. These are your long bones that lead to your legs. These are your teeny tiny little feet. So this is how an average person would stand. Like your legs, your long bones come in to where your knees are, and then they come down straight. Okay. It's not perfect, but you know what I'm talking about. So that's how you're supposed to stand. Your bones come in and then they come down, and that's creating balance. That's why we can stand upright. And then our spines also have like a slight curve, and not a pronounced one. That's different. But your spine does have a natural curve to it, especially when you get down to the lower part, again, where the weight bearing happens, because it kind of acts like kind of like a shock absorber / spring kind of a thing. It's why your feet are the shape they are. All right. Anyway, that being said, so on obese people, when you watch an obese person stand, you'll notice that their upper legs will come in to a point. And a lot of this is because of the sheer amount of mass on their legs. Like they're literally, their thighs are fat. So their legs can't come together properly. But then their knees will shoot off into a weird angle. Work on me with the feet here. All right, so okay, this is like how a normal / healthy person would stand. And then you come over here, and this is like, you'll see this in obese people. Like their legs will try to come in. They can't come in to the point where they need to be. And because they can't come to that balance point where they would come, where your lower legs would come down, the knees kind of turn and they shoot the lower legs off at an angle. And that's, my drawing is very exaggerated, but I mean, just observationally, next time you're out in the wild and you see somebody who's obese walk by, I mean, with Amber, I don't think you'd see it too much just because of the lipedema, but like someone who's over 300 pounds, probably their hips are going to come in, especially women, their hips are going to come in, and then their knees are going to come, their lower legs are going to come out, and their legs are going to be like this. And it looks really uncomfortable. And that, again, instead of like taking a step like you would, like your whole leg is hinged to walk, they'll waddle. And they waddle because they can't shift their weight effectively from one leg to the next in order to maintain balance. So I'm not being mean. That's just literally the physiology of it. So yes, there are markers because we'll see that stress in the lower legs, in the skeleton after the fact. So yes, there are stressors, there are markers for obesity on the skeleton. Boy, I bet you guys really wanted to know that one. That took forever. Let's see. Apparently Mr. Meaner is also a very short, small person. Hello. We got quite the short girl club here. Do we have any of the tall girls? Like I know tall girls also have there are tall girl problems. I know that exists. So I feel bad, but at the same time it's like community. So love for the tall girls as well. Yeah, Mr. Mew is just agreeing with things that I said because of course I am correct. Also says wrap your celery tightly in foil. It lasts forever. I buy celery hearts only. I don't like the outer stalks. I don't think I've ever actually noticed a difference, but now I'm going to. I buy celery because I cook with it. For me, celery is not like a vegetable. It's like a flavor vegetable. There's like no nutritional value to it whatsoever, but it's kind of like a Brillo pad for your innards. Mr. Meaner says, planning is a big part of previous failure arc. Planning is a big part of previous failure arc. She loves to plan. She loves to follow the plan for a day or two. These are the things I was just talking about. Then it's back to eating like crap. She wants to wake up thin without excess skin and then eat as she did when she was 600 plus. She'll start this and then in a month, give or take. I don't even think it took 24 hours. I don't think she's mentioned lose it since the episode she looked at it. So, I mean, her cycles are shorter and shorter. Like they're non-existent now. Mr. Meaner says, also please notice that when she talks about food poverty, she holds her dad responsible and never mentions her mom being an addict and allowing money to be spent on drugs. Also, her years of therapy have either not happened or she lies too much for them to be successful, or she just quits because there's no interest. I think it's A or D, all of the above. I think the few times she's gone to therapy have not been successful. I think they're not successful because she lies and then she gives up. So again, effort. Going to the doctor is effort sometimes. I get massive anxiety attacks sometimes before I go to see my therapist, who I see regularly. So it's not like it's an unusual occurrence, but there's just certain times I just get these really bad anxiety attacks. And it's just like, this is why we go to therapy. And so that's how I get myself out the door. But I mean, it's effort is my point. It is interesting that she only blames her dad for things. I think there's a reason for it, and it isn't necessarily that I think that her dad is the devil, but clearly he was the source of certain instabilities and insecurities, all of the ins words. But clearly he left a mark on her. I don't hear her talk about her dad at all, honestly. I think the only reason we've really started hearing her talk about her mom is because her mom came through during the during the cancer saga. So and they've reconciled apparently. I don't think she's gone through that with her father, and I don't know if she's going to. Going over other things from past posts and things that Amber has said, thanks to Mr. Snowflake, she has a very low opinion of men in general. And because of that, because of the way she talks about men, especially in the past, I do think that there has been some truth to some of her accusations. And I know people don't want to hear that, but I think there is some truth to her essay claims. How much? I don't know. But I do think there's some issues there, just judging by how she talks about guys, how she's constantly convinced that men are attracted to her and are leering after her and are hitting on her. I don't think she's ever mentioned a guy that wasn't attracted to her in some way, you know? So even when she was living with Ricky and Eric, was Eric the one she had like the big ass crush on? And Ricky was the one that like clearly could not tolerate her, but did. Even then, she likes the gay boys, is what I'm trying to say there. And I think she likes gay men because she doesn't view them as like threatening to her in that physical kind of way. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack on that one. So there's that. But that's the reason why I think there's a lot more truth to those accusations than people want to give credit for. And I do think they are somehow connected to her father, which is another reason why we don't hear anything positive about him. I could be talking out my ass. These are just my assumptions based on personal experiences and stuff, so. I'm not reading that one because I was snarky and mean in the comment, but Kat Santos does say, Kat Santos made a funny joke and I replied. It was funny. Props. Compassionate Citizen, you need to start your own channel, man. Compassionate Citizen, hi again, your friendly public health professor who uses ALR as a case study in class. Always wondering what ALR is hoping to achieve by sharing such stream of conscious phrases with her viewers. Amen. And just going over things. Amber says, so many triggers a lot. She's dreading. She's shocked. I feel super pathetic. She's frustrated. So mad at myself. Really sad about that. Creating a new goal or just like not even having a goal. I don't even know. Quote, feel so distracted. Okay. My comment was perfect. Thank you. If she would ever take some solid advice, I'd recommend James Clear's Atomic Habits. That is a good book. It is a good book. It's a very duh book for me, but I mean, for some people, it's like, it's a good book, I guess is what I'm saying. I've read it several times at this point, and each time I read it, I'm just like, yeah, I mean, duh. So if you already have your shit together, it's not going to be that helpful for you. If you're like somebody who's just like, where do I start? It's a great book. It's a great book. But it is all about routines. Routines. What does he call them? He doesn't call them routines. What does he call it? He has a very specific name for it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Clusters, I think it is. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Also, winning strategy is to arrange your nutrition and wellness every day to make it easy to do the right thing. Nutritious meals, harder to do the wrong thing. Shake Shack. Oh, Shake Shack's so delicious, though. But someone with impulse control issues will never want that kind of silly routine. That's true, too, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I'm not that impulsive. I have my moments, but I'm not that impulsive. I allow myself to be impulsive when it seems like it's an okay thing to do. If I was truly impulsive, I would be eating donuts right now and some fried chicken because both of those sound delicious and I haven't had lunch yet. I'm not going to do that. So, for somebody like Amber, routine's the problem. Like, you need a routine. You need to plan your meals. You need to know not maybe every second of every day, but you need to have, like with her videos, you need to have a format for your day. You need to know that you're waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning. You know that you're eating lunch at I eat lunch around 3, hence my alarm. I eat breakfast at 11. I know that these are the times of the day that I am going to do a specific thing. I know when I'm driving, I need to be in my zone by 10 o'clock because that's when my shift for DoorDash starts, that kind of stuff there. And my schedule actually has been a little chaotic right now, trying to figure out when I fit these recordings and the editings and the postings of these videos, which is why I have not committed to any kind of a schedule because I just can't right now. So this part of it is very chaotic for me. And you see the result of it. I don't think it's a bad result. It's just, I can't be predictable for you. Dangling Hernia says Jade is not there. I don't know. I don't think Jade is there if Jade doesn't have to be there, but I think Jade is still sleeping there most of the time. I would not be terribly surprised if Jade didn't already have another person that they were staying at or going out with or something like that. It might explain Amber's attitude sometimes when she's just so clearly upset and peeved. I think it's because Jade's off with the other person and not there with her. No, nothing to support that. That is clear speculation on my end. Chris Diane says, I use the term garbage food too and have not heard anyone else that does that. I will say garbage people as well. I do too. I try not to say it in public, but yeah. I think I've actually said that about Destiny. So there's that. Christine Dale, thank you. Everyone says fast food is cheap and it costs so much. It really does. Fast food is not cheap. It's about $80 to feed my family McDonald's for one meal, and that's insane. That is insane. I say that, but if my partner and I were to go to McDonald's and we both didn't order we ordered the meals and not the value meal, it would probably cost, probably cost close to $30 for us to both order an adult meal. Even ordering off the value meal, which we have done, it still costs. It can cost up to $15 depending on what we order, because the dollar meal, the value meal is no longer, the value menu is no longer pennies on the dollar. It's now the cheapest item on there is $2.10. So it's not even cheap anymore. We've kind of quit eating there because of that. Also, it's McDonald's. It's garbage food. So Jay Harris says, the narcissist cycle. Step 1, have a revelation about your problematic behavior and share it. Check. Step 2, absorb the encouragement. She doesn't really get encouragement anymore. Step 3, change your behavior a few times. Check-ish. Make sure to point out and expect praise. Step 4, go right back to your problematic behavior and wait until everyone has had it with you to go back to step 1. That's that cycle I was talking about. Mea culpa, your culpa, everyone else's culpa, mea culpa. So. Becky Hubley said, oh, I'd go for a bacon or other savory candy bar. Same, man. Where are the savory candy bars? I mean, I guess it wouldn't be candy because it's not sweet, but other than jerky, which I don't have anything against, but I would 100. Why is there no bacon flavored chewing gum? Everyone loves bacon. Come on. Where is my filet mignon chewing gum? You can do it. It's a fake flavor. You just have to flavor rubber and I'll chew on it. Anyway, I don't know if I've mentioned I'm dyslexic, but I am. And so some of your names are just, it's not your fault. It's mine. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm seeing the letters I think I'm seeing is my point. I think this is C. Sam Saw. I hope one day you have the opportunity to excavate Pillow Mountain or observe Amber in her natural habitat / Denny's. Man, I hate Denny's. I used to hang out there as a kid. That was like the go-to place because it was open late and they didn't serve alcohol, so you could be there as a kid. And their food is just, I haven't eaten at a Denny's since I was an adult. I turned 21 and there was a place that we could play pool at until 4 a.m. And that's where I went after I turned 21. I never went back to Denny's after that. But yes, I would like to go. I would love to be able to even just a room of her house. The bathroom, preferably, honestly. I know that sounds creepy, but either the bathroom or the kitchen. If you find the videos boring, go watch something else. Just saying. Why did I retire from anthropology? I didn't retire from anthropology. I never went into anthropology as a professional field. I did try, actually. But non-academic jobs for anthropologists are few and far between and hard to get into. I was a field archaeologist for more years than I care to admit. And basically, I got tired of getting paid $16 to $18 an hour. I'm not even shitting you. And I threw this shoulder out at an excavation one time, picking up a bucket full of clay because my dig partner was an ass. And I was trying to be hard. It was tough. And so instead of telling them to take some of the dirt out of the damn bucket like I should have done, I picked the bucket up and threw my shoulder out. So moral of the story is don't be a hard ass. If the bucket's too heavy, take some of the shit out of the bucket. It's okay. You're still going to sift the dirt. It's just not going to get sifted at that moment. Also, tell your dig partner to quit being a dick. Anyway, so once I threw this shoulder out, it's just never been the same, and I aggravate it very easily. I have to be careful when I use the machines at the gym, and I still have to be careful because if I go too heavy too fast, it'll act up. So that's my shoulder. Both of my wrists are screwed. My hands have arthritis in them, so I'll get claw hands after digging for too long. My knees are like the one part of me that aren't completely crap, which is usually the part that goes out on most field archaeologists first. I'm not entirely sure how I manage that, but I'm also not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I would get horrific blisters on my feet. And I've tried everything. I know you're all going to give me advice. I've tried everything. I really have. I just get really bad blisters until they scab over, and then I'm fine. But until I get that callus, it's just absolute agony. My hips I think it's the arthritis. My hips, if I dig for too long, my lower back and my hips will just start hurting, which is true of everyone. So basically, I was physically falling apart and I didn't like it. Also, I got tired of working in 100+ degree weather for no freaking reason, just to dig a hole. And yeah, all of that for $16 to $18 an hour. So no, we were out. I do much more fun stuff now with archaeology. And honestly, I'm not knocking fieldwork. Fieldwork is incredibly important. I'm not even joking. If fieldwork didn't happen, there would be no archaeology. But I also got really tired of doing the hard part of archaeology and getting not even a, hey, thanks for doing that, credit for it. And then having someone else write up a paper on the academic end, and then they get all the credit for all of the work that everyone else did except for them. And that's me being petty and cynical, but there you have it. That's why I'm not in art. That's why I don't do field work anymore. Julius says, wait until you're old. Wait. You'll be sad at the low number of calories you need to eat. It's depressing. Honestly, that might be true for you. I'm not knocking it. I found that if I'm active, I get to eat more calories. So I decided to become active because I wanted to eat more food. Because otherwise, yes, you are correct. if I put in my sedentary TDE, it's very low. And it's not enough. It's not enough to keep me satisfied throughout the day. And I'm starving by the end of the day. There's no emoji for nurses? Boo. I replied that too. Stella Stargazer says, quote, meat flavored salt. What do you want? Brodello. I would go to a Brodello. Yeah, I would. Remember when she said she walked 4,000 steps a day? She just lies. She does. And this is where it comes to. I think she's incapable of telling the truth. I don't even think she catches herself when she lies, because I don't think she even notices that she's lying. I think everything that comes out of her mouth in that moment is true in her head. Along with the 4,000 steps, didn't she say she did like 64 or some ridiculous number of crunches? And I was just like, girl, I can do 10 in a row. Like, come on. Seriously. Maybe if she did them in chunks throughout the day, I could see that. Maybe. But can we honestly, just for a minute, physically picture Amber doing one crunch properly? I'm not trying. I mean, I know I'm smirking, but I'm really not trying to be dickish here. I don't think Amber can do a crunch, and it's not because of her physical weight as much as it is the mass that is on the front of her. I don't think, well, because of her butt shelf, I don't know what else you want me to call it, she couldn't lay flat on the floor in order to get into position to do a crunch. And then I don't think she could fold forward far enough at all to even do a crunch, let alone do the crunch effectively to the point where she's actually getting some kind of benefit from it. Even using a machine, which I have used and I do prefer because it's easier on my back, but even then, she wouldn't fit in the machine to begin with, and I still don't think she could crunch forward enough to actually do a crunch. And then Stevie Every Size. Hello, Stevie. She's just trying to justify the continuing YouTube. She just needs inpatient and to unplug from YouTube for a while. Yeah. But it's not going to happen. Again, this is her job. As much as she vanishes on us like she does, she's not going to leave anytime soon. I mean, A, what else is she going to do in a day? And B, this is her income. It's this or nothing. So, but anyway, all right, that's the last comment. I need to edit this down some. Thank you all for joining. If you've made it this far, just like, maybe subscribe, and again, comment. I really enjoy the comments on the comments videos. I'm like, should I go back and watch? Should I go back and re-go over the comments of the comment videos? It's like, it's comment inception. It never ends. But yeah, go ahead and leave comments. I do still react to things. I still read the comments on these reaction videos. And yeah, I will see you all in the next one.